Here are 5 things that you need to stop doing this wedding season and what you should be doing instead to make a huge difference in the quality of your work and probably your sanity. Running your own photography business is just as much customer service really as it is taking a decent photograph. So with that, let's have a look at 5 bad habits or potential areas for improvement that will lift your wedding photography up into space and beyond. Let's have a look, shall we? Number 1. Right, we've all done it where we find 1 or 2 spots where we're comfortable, where we can see everything, and we basically just sit there and wait for people to do something. Obviously, you're there to capture the day and that's what you're there for. But if you do that, all you're going to do is end up with galleries that look exactly the same and you're not really going to get much variety, to be honest with you. Even with a zoom, there's only so much you can do. And a gallery full of images that look the same is going to be boring. The way I see it is this. Once the arse of the wedding day pony has been smacked, right, and it's galloping at full speed towards the horizon, there's very little we can actually do to be in control of the day. Once the horse is bolted, that is it. The day has started and we're off to the races. What's a horse? Stuff. I don't even like horses. They're just like massive cows with long faces and big long legs. Weird things, horses. So a couple of ways we can get around this really is never to stand in the same place for too long. I know this isn't always possible. Sometimes the officiant or the priest says to you, you're standing here and do not move, and if you move, I will stop the ceremony and I will throw you out. It does happen. There's not much you can do in those situations. You're kind of stuck. But in every other instance, you should be walking around looking for different angles, something that makes you different to somebody else with a camera, something that makes your shots original and something that makes an interesting image. What I try to do is get down quite low, close to the tables. There's always some nice glasses on there, some drinks, some interesting centerpieces, and shooting through those and see if you can get a little bit of interesting foreground bokeh. Another way is to look for natural framing. There's 1,000,001 ways of doing it, but do try to create some interest in your images by moving around, standing on something to get higher to take a photograph, getting lower to take a photograph, and using things in front of the lens to create some interesting foreground bokeh. All of these things will help lift your images up and help you get your steps in at the same time. So there you go, win-win. Number 2, stop using inexperienced second shooters in your weddings. This is one of those things where most of you have probably gone, what are you talking about, you idiot? If they were that good, they would be out shooting their own weddings. It's nothing like that. Second shooters are just as important as you are. There are some incredibly experienced second shooters out there and they just prefer to second shoot. It's less hassle for them, it's less stress for them. And it's just simply not true that they're all inexperienced, you know, it's not true at all. You need to find yourself a reliable, competent second shooter who you can either train up to emulate the way you shoot, or someone who is good enough so you show them a gallery of yours and they know what's expected of them and they can just get on and do it. It's not just that. As I said earlier on in the video, you know, it's just as much customer service as it is taking a photograph. And you need someone who's good with people. And you need someone who's not just good with people, but who flies the flag for your brand and comes across like someone who works in your brand, comes across like you. It's very important that you get something like that. There's nothing quite as sobering as hearing something your second shooter said that makes you die a little bit inside, and they say it in front of the bride and groom, and it just basically makes you look bad. That's happened to me, and once you've had a second shooter who tells the bride that one of their bridesmaids is super fit, and that later on she's going to be lucky and maybe might get some, actually happened at one of my weddings. It was my own fault, and I accept ownership completely of that. I didn't speak to the second shooter thoroughly enough before the wedding, so completely and totally my fault. I would have picked up on that and the way they talk and the way they don't talk, or I should have explained to them what I expect from them. It's very easy to find someone with skill. It's not very easy to find someone with a good attitude. So go for good attitude each and every time and show them what they need to know if you have to. When you find one, treat them well and pay them well, because it reflects on your business. Number 3, stop leaving things to chance. And along with that, make sure you're managing the couple's expectations of you and the day. You've probably been in a similar situation to me where you meet with the bride and groom. You know, you maybe grab a little bit of lunch, go for coffee, something like that, or you've already booked them and they're chatting to you about the day and they're like, oh yeah, we'd like this and we really want that, and we've seen this picture on Pinterest and, you know, this image is really, really good and we like this, that and the other, and you're standing there going, yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I can do that. You know, you're typing it down, writing it down, I can do that. Yep, I can do that. Not a problem at all. I've seen many instances where photographers say, yes, I can do that. Yes, I can do that. Yes, I can do that. And they really haven't looked at the situation and they've not managed the expectations of the couple to let them know whether that's realistically possible. I'll give you an example. In England here, the first couple of weeks in March, the sun sets at 5:30. So if your couple wants sunset shots, and they're like, yeah, we've seen this shot is a sunset shot, we saw it on your website, I'd like something just like that, it's beautiful. And you go, yeah, I can do that, but it's normally the same sort of time as speeches or the meal. In situations like that, you have to listen to what they've said make a note of it and either at the time go to them, I understand you want that, but unfortunately it's sunset. The sunset will set between 5 and 6. You know, what time's your meals? Are you going to have time to do it? And you need to manage their expectations. Some things are just not possible. When they see these beautiful images on your website or online, they don't take into consideration what time of day it was taken and what you had to do to make them happen. You might have a bride and groom who really want a picture of them with their small children. Now, I don't know how many weddings you guys have done up to this point when you watch this, but small children do not listen. They won't listen. They're not interested. They've probably had about 1,000 fruit shoots. They've been given all the sugar in the world and they're hyped up on the day. There's relatives there they've never seen before who want to cuddle them. There's relatives there they've not seen in ages who they're excited to see. And it's really difficult to get their attention and get them to sit still. So the most important photograph of that day is the picture of the family unit, mum, dad, and the 2 or 3 children. You have to manage their expectations and let them know children will only sit still for a short amount of time and sometimes not at all. And I will do my best to get that shot for you, but sometimes it's not possible. This saves them coming back to you at a later date saying, why didn't we have this shot? Why didn't we have that shot? Why didn't we have the other shot? And it's things like that which can add on to post-wedding blues. Days come and gone, they've spent so much money and it's a little bit of a come down afterwards. And little things like that, if they've not been talked through and they've not been explained correctly, can really add to it and cause you problems afterwards. So it's down to us, you, as a professional, to manage their expectations and let them know what's possible and what isn't possible. It's attention to details like this which will stop any future complaints in their tracks before they can even get a chance to happen. Number 4, stop charging for engagement shoots. Now, I do have an engagement shoot price on my price list and I do offer it if that's somebody wants as an extra. But engagement shoots for me have always led to more bookings, sometimes more bookings than the actual weddings themselves, which is a little bit weird. For instance, years ago now, I did a engagement shoot completely and totally for free for a couple. They popped their images online, everybody loved them, and I ended up getting a booking from their best friend. So before the wedding had even gone ahead, I'd shot this engagement shoot completely for free, booked that couple, their friends saw the photographs, I booked their friend's wedding, and from that actual engagement shoot, I ended up getting another 2 weddings. So from a completely free engagement shoot, I booked that couple from the engagement shoot, I booked their best friend, and I also booked 2 other people from those engagement shoots, not even the wedding. So before the wedding had actually come around, I'd already got 4 weddings from that one engagement shoot. So offer free engagement shoots where you can, whenever you can, as often as you can, because it'll always lead to extra work. Number 5, and this is probably going to annoy a lot of people, stop using your camera in manual mode all the time. So there's going to pee a few people off, I know that, but a lot of the mirrorless cameras nowadays, you can actually set custom functions on the buttons. You can assign it to whatever you want. So what I would advise is to assign one of your buttons to completely and total auto mode. The reason why I would say this is, I'll give you a use case. You're doing shots with the bride, you've taken it over to where the window light is, and you've adjusted your settings to that. So ISO 100 to 400, probably 1/800th of a second. So the room's in darkness, you've turned all the lights off and you're just getting lovely light on her from the window. Now let's say you're doing that and then the door opens on the far side of the room and in steps mum, dad, nan, whoever. And they see the bride in her dress looking absolutely stunning and they start to cry. I'll bet you 9 out of 10 of us will not be able to adjust the settings quick enough to actually get that image. Mirrorless cameras are great in low light, so you might be able to snap it and then lift it up in post afterwards. But what I tend to do is I keep one of my buttons on the Sony in complete auto mode. So if something like that happens, I press and hold the button, take the images, and when I'm finished, release the button and it goes completely back to manual again. The exposure is perfect and I get the shot every single time. So change one of your custom function buttons into completely auto mode. You'll thank me for it one day, I guarantee it. So you've made it this far, go you. Look at you, watching videos on YouTube like a winner. I suppose I should give you tip number 6, shouldn't I? The cheeky little tip, the extra one. Just the tip, please. So this one really is a bit of a follow-on from number 3. And as I thought the subject it's one of the more important subjects, I thought I should elaborate on it a little bit more. And this is stop leaving everything down to the couples. The chances are you've been to more weddings than they've had hot dinners, and you know what happens in them far more than they do. This is their first wedding. Hopefully, you never know. But this is their first wedding. It's not your first wedding, I'm guessing. And you know what happens on wedding days. You know what can happen. You know how the timeline can go. You know these things. So the information you have is going to be like gold dust to the couples. They're going to be worrying about their day and you've probably got the answers. So with that, you should be making yourself a small but informative thank you for booking / FAQ booklet. Just a little e-booklet PDF that you can email over to the couple. You know, the ins and outs of how the day will go and how to get the best out of their time on the day and your time as well. For example, the couple gives you a list of at least 25 plus formal images they want shot on the day. So I tell them, yeah, no problem at all. It takes around about 3 minutes average per image to get what you want. So, we'll need to make time for that. And the couples do the same thing every time. They go, oh yeah, that's absolutely fine, yeah. And then you slowly see the look on their face change as they start to do the sums in their head and they realize they're going to be standing in one spot for like an hour and a half, an hour and 15 minutes just to get these photographs. You see the color drain from their faces, they realize. But it's down to you to inform them of things like this. We know that trying to organize people for formal images is like trying to herd feral cats with no sense of direction. It is a nightmare. And without the cuteness as well. I love cats. So 3 minutes per shot is probably quite conservative, to be fair. It's just one of the many things that couples just won't think about until it's pointed out to them. So in my thank you for booking with us /FAQ booklet I send them via email, it reiterates the things we talked about in our meeting or over the phone. And it covers everything like how long it'll take for these formal images, even down to when the sun will set on their actual day, just in case they want those sunset images and they know what sort of time they need to kind of be ready for. With the FAQ section of the booklet highlighting potential things that could eat away at time on the day. Obviously, don't overload them with information or scare the bejesus out of them, and just pile loads and loads of this could happen, that could happen, the ceiling could fall down. None of that stuff. Just be informative, giving out pointers and positive solutions to potential issues that could come up on their big day. If you're interested in the thank you for booking with us /FAQ booklet that I use, I'd be more than happy to make a video on how I do it. Just let me know. And if you don't comment, but would like to see that in the future, just subscribe, hit the little notification bell, and when I make the video, it'll pop up in your timeline and you can come back and say hello to me. But that's it from me. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all soon.